Hello and welcome to another video. I hope that you are doing great. So in this video I wanted to share the most important equipment I use to get the most enjoyment out of my daily training. Throughout this video I wanted to give you the reason why I chose this specific equipment and why I believe it is necessary to get the most enjoyment out of my training. So to start off the list, I wanted to talk about my smartwatch. So this is a Garmin Fenix 6. And I have actually mentioned it before on my channel, but this is what it looks like. So the reason that I chose my Garmin watch as the first on the list is because I believe that it is probably the most important equipment I have in terms of my training. I actually got the watch as a gift from my parents, and ever since I got the watch, I have pretty much been addicted to training. So the reason that I find the watch so valuable is because of the tracking of activities. I find myself to enjoy all the different sports that I do much more when I can track all the different activities. I find it very fun to be able to extract a lot of knowledge from all the activities that I do and get a little bit nerdy with all the data. And because this is a pretty high-end model of the Garmin watches, I can pretty much track anything that I want. I'm not necessarily saying that you have to get such a high-end watch. I know a lot of people who use a much more simple smartwatch and still get a lot of great data. But because I got the watch as a gift, I can just enjoy the luxury of having such a nice watch. So the next thing on my list of equipment is actually related to the watch, and it is this new heart rate monitor I just got for my birthday just a couple of weeks ago. So this is the Garmin Heart Rate Monitor Plus, which is also one of the high-end models from Garmin of the heart rate monitors, and it works very great. The nice thing about this heart rate monitor is that it's waterproof, so I can use it during swimming, but similarly to the watch, you can of course get by with a more simple version of a heart rate monitor. The reason that I chose to include the heart rate monitor is because I found it to really help me during my bike rides. Previously, I found myself pushing a bit too hard on my longer rides and then dying of all my energy in the early part of the ride. But with the heart rate monitor, I can get pretty exact data on how hard I'm pushing and therefore not overextending during the early parts of my bike rides. I've also used it during swimming and running, but in these disciplines I find myself to get by a lot easier by just feeling how hard I'm pushing. Opposite to that, I found myself to dying on the bike, as I just mentioned before. So the heart rate monitor is really a big help for me on the bike. So next up on the list, I wanted to include some swimming goggles. These goggles are actually my newest acquisition in terms of training equipment, and I'm so happy I got them. This is what they look like. They are from a company called the Magic 5, which is actually a company who scans your face and then prints out the swimming goggles to match your face, so they fit perfectly. At the moment I've only used the goggles twice, but I already find them to be a very impressive pair of swimming goggles. So the reason why I chose a good pair of swimming goggles on the list is because I find it so annoying to get water leaks or when the swimming goggles are uncomfortable. Because I swim 2 to 3 times a week, I find it very valuable to have a nice pair of swimming goggles I can just put on and don't think any more about it. So for that reason I included the swimming goggles on the list. Next up, I wanted to talk about running. This is my Hoka Bondi X running shoes, which I bought a couple of months ago. This is Hoka's take on a training shoe with a carbon base plate implemented in the sole. Running shoes with a carbon base plate typically runs out quite fast, but with this shoe, Hoka really focused on making a shoe that lasts for a lot of kilometers. The reason that I chose the Hoka running shoes on the list is because I think it is very important to have a pair of running shoes which is comfortable but has a lot of kilometers in them. With the Hoka Bondi X, I get a lot of kilometers for my money, but I do also get a running shoe with a carbon base plate, which I really enjoy running on. As an honorable mention, I wanted to include my new Vaporfly Zoom X, which I also got for my birthday just as the heart rate monitor. Just as the Hoka shoes, this also has a carbon base plate in the sole, but this running shoe is much more focused on speed and not so much to last. This is without a doubt my favorite running shoe, and this is actually my third version of them. The Nike Vaporfly is such a great running shoe and I always use them when I'm competing in races. But the reason that I chose the Hoka shoes instead of the Nike Vaporflies is because I find it much more necessary to have a shoe which is reliable and can be used for a lot of training, whereas I see the Nike Vaporfly as a luxury and a much more fun way to do races. But because this shoe wears out so quickly, I find it much more necessary to have a more reliable shoe during daily training. So next up on the list, I wanted to mention my triathlon bike. I'm just gonna pop up a picture of the bike because I'm not gonna carry it up here in the apartment. So the bike that I ride on is a Specialized Felt 1, which is a aluminum bike I bought used just a short year ago. The thing that I wanted to highlight about the bike on this list is that I think it is very important to have a bike that you are comfortable on during training. So getting the right sized bike and then potentially being bike fitted afterwards is very important for the enjoyment of training. As for myself, I bike fitted myself after buying the bike used and rode on it for about half a year before getting into the triathlon club, and I really got a lot of pain from sitting on the bike, both in where I was sitting and in my knees. But after joining the triathlon club, one of my bike trainers offered to bike fit me for free, which I accepted. And after getting bike fitted, I sat much more comfortable on the bike and therefore enjoyed my bike riding so much more. So therefore I believe it is very important to get a comfortable bike that you can ride for a lot of hours. At last, I wanted to mention my pull-up station, which I'm also going to pop up a picture of. The reason that I chose to include the pull-up station is because I find it to be a very affordable way to start a little home gym. The pull-up station is a great solution where you can both train a lot of pull exercises and push exercises. The thing about training at home is that I find it very difficult to train a lot of pull exercises without any equipment, but with the pull-up station I can do both push-ups and chin-ups, which cover a great part of the back. In addition to that, I also can do the dips, which I find to be a great push exercise. So along with the pull-up station, I can really cover most of my upper body at home. As an honorable mention to the pull-up station, I wanted to include my barbell. I see the barbell as the next level on top of the pull-up station, because you can pretty much train any part of the body with the barbell. When I included the barbell in my home gym, I added a lot more upper body exercises I could choose from, but maybe the most important part is that I can now do a lot of weighted lower body exercises, which I have found to be great for building strength in my legs. But the reason that the barbell is only a honorable mention is that I find it to be a bit more expensive solution. The barbell alone costs more than the entire pull-up station by itself, and for the barbell to really be effective, you have to invest in a squat rack and additional weights to put on the barbell. So it is quite more pricey solution, but I have without a doubt found myself to be very satisfied with the investment. So that was the 6 most important pieces of equipment I use in my daily training and some additional honorable mentions. I hope that you enjoyed the video and got an idea of what types of equipment that you need in your daily training. If you have any questions, comments or suggestions, please leave them down below the video. And besides that, I wish you all a great weekend. Take care.